right, guys. We're here live with the Mountain Monsters. It's going to be a little hard to hear. This is Michelle here, talking to you guys. Anyway, here's Annie. I hope y'all can hear me. Say hi, Annie. We're Facebook Live.
Hi, we're on Facebook Live.
They're all having a good time, guys. They love the fans. Uh-oh, we're losing Huckleberry. Oh no, they're on the move. I'll try to follow them for a little bit. Alright, hey Buck, can you let everyone know that you're okay? Because everyone's always concerned about you.
Yes, I'm alive and well, and it's nice to be out.
Alright, thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, here we go. There's Huckleberry. Say hi to everyone. We're live.
Huh?
We're live on Facebook.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're on your page here. The Ames Post.
Hello, how is everybody? Come on down here, hang out with us, have a great time. Are we being too loud?
No.
Good, because we're about to turn it up.
All right, guys. I'm not sure where everyone else went, so we'll try to do this again here in a little bit. So, bye.
But we don't have an answer for that yet. But we'll go ahead and start taking questions if anybody has any questions. Yes, ma'am.
Can we send letters to the network?
She asked if she could send letters to the network. This is America. Yes, by all means, send letters to the network. Anything positive or encouraging is always helpful. Always helpful.
And make sure you send it where they have to sign for it, so you get a return receipt and you know they got it.
There you go. Yeah.
What was the most scariest moment of any of the creatures you guys have followed or chased?
You know, it's funny because we've been asked this question several times, and we'll just pass this mic on down because we will all four probably have different answers. For me, last season, you don't have any control of yourself. For me, that's it.
Well, for me, it's the Snallygaster. It was pretty awkward being in the middle of the woods in the middle of the night and have something swoop down and drop stuff on the side, or drop something.
You know, we don't know anything or was allowed to tell you anything about a new season. And that was the big #1 question Buck answered there. And a lot of people ask, you know, what's the scariest creature you ever seen out there? And there has been a woman of the woods was a very scary time in Lee County, Virginia. And Snallygaster, I would, you know, say with Huckleberry also, a creature that could fly with a 20-foot wingspan, fly during the night and during the day, would attack, protecting its mountaintop. We call it Snallygaster Mountain. We was glad to come off of that hill, there's no doubt about it. County, North Carolina. And I talked to Jeff about it, Trapper and all of us got together, and we didn't have a game on. And then we got to go back to West Virginia, and we got to sit down, and we got to come in, we got to know way more than we actually knew. So when we come back the second time, it wasn't any better. It just seemed like there was things that we still couldn't answer. All the witnesses, you know, they was feared from this thing. People showing up in the woods, that little red building you seen Buck in. That guy that showed up there right out of the blue, he didn't know who he was. He walks up and he starts to talk to them guys. He's a radical. We've had, you know, cases, I think there was 7 or 8 different people that was missing. And their family and loved ones didn't know where they was at. Everybody talks about things that happened and the last they heard of them. And we was down there to solve this, you know, situation for them. And we're going to find out, we're going to get to the bottom of it. But the most scariest thing that I've ever seen in all times is when we was on the Cherokee Delta and I seen Huckleberry naked. Of all the
I'd like to
creatures,
change my answer.
of all the creatures,
I need to go wash my hands.
I was speechless at that time. I couldn't think or talk. I'm just wondering where happened to this man's clothes. There he is carrying this totem pole that it took 3 of us to pick it up and move. And he's got it over his shoulder, out of his mind. We've been looking for him for days down there. And then I don't think we ever did find his clothes. But the totem pole, we ended up putting it back where we found it. And we figured bygones be bygones, left alone. Thank goodness Buck, you know, listened to the little Cherokee girl. And was it Atenosty? He's got a lot of Cherokee blood in him. And I know that when he figured that out, that means leave us alone, or leave me go, or let me go. That kind of saved me. I know whenever I was trying to show him the trap, I built a bridge trap. Me and Wild Bill, we set that bridge trap up and we tested it several times and it worked every time. And then after seeing the video that he left us in that little building, and it was like, oh no, if he goes down there by himself, he ain't got a chance in the world. And them moments right there is the scariest time. Is one of my team members, if something happens to one of them guys, game's over. We're out to set to prove that Bigfoot exists or he doesn't exist. There's creatures, encrypted creatures on this world that, you know, people don't explain or don't even know of. And there a lot of people say, well, I don't believe in that. Well, whether you believe in it or not, they're here. I know Huckleberry firsthand, seen him at a very young age. I've been out there before and I've been close enough building that trap. There's times I don't know exactly what episode it was on, but that creature was within 50 feet of me. I was sleeping in front of my trap that night. I wasn't sure whether I was dreaming, but I kept hearing something sniff me out. And whatever it was scared the coyotes plumb out of the hollow. They kind of circled around me that night. And out of nothing, you know, I knew once they figured out what it was, they were going to leave. God put the fear in every creature on this earth for a reason. They're fear to humans. And we are the top predators. And for some reason, them coyotes took off that night, and I kept thinking, well, maybe I was just dreaming. And within hours later, Jeff discovered a foot track. No way to fake that much detail. We ended up doing a plastic print of it. We found hairs, and that was within 50 feet where I was sleeping that night. So I finally, you know, without telling maybe I was dreaming or maybe I wasn't, when I heard something sniffing me out that night, and it was about 3 o'clock in the morning, and the next morning I kept putting it off. But later on that night, when Jeff discovered this foot track, and we shut all film down, and we went in and we got to make sure that, you know, what are we dealing with? And Jeff, you know, we called over there, we get over there, we check it out, and found out, you know, that, you know, there's nobody around that could have made a foot track that far in detail. And so that let me know that that creature knows that we're there. That's one thing. To get it in a trap is something very tough to do. We did a thing up in Salt Fork on a big walk, and under Salt Fork is another place that where Bigfoot has been sighted several times. And people was like, well, why can't you just get a picture of it? Why, you know, you got all these cameras, got all these deer cams and stuff up. And we told them that night on the walk, we're going to dress a guy up in a ghillie suit. And during this walk, we're going to have this guy walk through, and y'all with your fancy cameras take a picture of him. Well, the first time, nobody even seen him. I had a couple people that didn't even have a picture to even show them anything. So it was like, well, you missed it, it doesn't come through. So the next time, you know, we sent the guy with the ghillie suit through again. This time, the guy made it very obvious. Everybody with their fancy cameras and iPhones and everything, they're taking pictures of it. Not one picture was taken of the guy in the ghillie suit enough to know that it was anything. That's how hard it is to get a picture of one of these creatures out there in the dark woods. And that, from that time on, let them people know that you just can't go out there in the woods and then all of a sudden you're going to see something. It's going to be a time and a moment, and it's going to happen so fast that you're going to question yourself. What did you see? And then you tell somebody, and they're going to doubt you with everything that you say. You could tell them that I seen this or I seen that, they're going to be like, yeah, whatever. They're out there. There's a time on this world we're the third rock from the sun. We have drinking water, we have an atmosphere that we can breathe. And question yourself, where did we come from? How did we get here? Did we just pop up from a sea? You know, we already know that we dug down in millions of years ago, those dinosaurs here. And they say an asteroid wiped them out. Time goes on. And then all of a sudden, mankind become up here on the earth. And eventually one day we'll be wiped out too. I believe that whatever we got here, we come from somewhere else. And then all of a sudden, you know, it was a livable planet. And I believe that there's other things throughout time that shows up here. And like I said, we got good drinking water, we have good air to breathe. And long as people, we don't grow on that. And to be able to find that out there and show, and I can't wait till the day that we actually prove that, you know, what exists out there and what things that we've seen that we can actually prove to the world, this is what it is. You that doubted us, now you know. There won't be no faking pictures. There won't be no cropping pictures. We're going to prove 100% that these creatures that people have seen, and we dated this clear back. Jeff goes back 200 years ago when Ending was here. And they talk about a large ape man that walked around the earth. And, you know, you can't take this many sightings and not be something out there. It's always been seen. A lot of people, you know, make up stories, and a lot of people, you know, make up things just, you know, because they like doing that. But a lot of these witnesses and stuff that we talk to, they seen something. You can tell in their voice, you can tell in their eyes, you can tell in their story. What they seen can't be explained, but they seen something out there. I can't wait till the day that I walk up to that trap, and other than me and Wild Bill being stuck in the middle of it and having Huckleberry come out and rescue us, there were some of the great moments that we lived and be able to sit around the campfire and talk about. Building a trap to be able to hold a creature like this is basically, you know, my idea, my designs. Jeff and Nick get with me, and they talk about, you know, hey, this is where we're going. So from that moment of traveling in, a lot of times me and Wild Bill goes a couple days ahead of time, set up base camp. And not all the time I can build them a Holiday Inn, but I try to make it as comfortable as possible. I look for places that we can eat, places that we can drink water from, places that we can sleep comfortable. When we went down to Lee County, Virginia, and Tracker set me down ahead of time with me and Wild Bill, that moment right there, we're going to go build a base camp. We're not going into the dark forest. We're going to set up on the outskirts of the dark forest. And we're going to put up a base camp that's going to be comfortable enough for us to get to the bottom of it. Jeff had some issues that, you know, he ended up down here in the dark forest without his team. Don't know how he got there. Messing with his mind, messing with his head. I know we live and breathe and talk about crippling creatures and hunting them. But for him to show up in places that he shouldn't be, and him being nervous, you know, he researches back on things, and then he researches his research, and he can come up with anything, and where he comes up with this information is beyond that computer, because I mean, he's been around for a long time. And I'm not talking about being an old man. He knows a lot of things, and a lot of things about, you know, where my material comes from. And once Wild Bill, he does most of my driving going in, because usually I tear down the track from the week before and get that all cleaned up. And Wild Bill comes to pick me up out of the woods, brings me my coffee and donuts every morning, God bless him. He's my savior when it comes out to that. But no matter what I want, my team's always been there for me. They call ahead of time, and they're like, hey, Willie, you know, we're going to be down. And they assume that I'm going to be hungry, because I eat a lot. And they know Wild Bill's cooking is going to kill me if I have to survive all of that. But they'll come down and they'll bring me Subway sandwiches. They bring me down some nice chicken, anything that, you know, candy bars, potato chips. I'm a junk food junkie, man. I love my junk food. And they always bucking in every time, you know, he'll be working and he'll get off work. And the first thing I did was like, hey Buck, how was work? You know, everybody made it down through here, a safe trip and stuff. He'll be tired. I'm trying to get his morale up. And also I'm searching through his lunch bill because I know he's got snacks.
You don't make food like around with it.
Yeah. We
like jailhouse too, doesn't it?
Yeah, he'll let me rummage through, you know, and he's always got a few extra cakes and some candy bars in there too. And of course, you know, let me eyeball it there for a little bit. You know, he'll hand them over, and it's pretty tough getting a Snicker bar from him. But
I carry them actually in my pocket because all these guys end up eating these.
But we look after one another out there. It's a teamwork. Teamwork never started with one person. And another question everybody wants to know is how's Trapper doing? Trapper's a tough old dog, man. There's no doubt about it. He faced through Vietnam and seen a lot of his friends and stuff leave him. And he still today wants to be here with us. And he always tells me, you know, I always go down and mow his grass or weed eat or the last time I was down there, I cleaned his rain gutters out because I know we had some big storms coming in. And I trimmed around his yard, went out there and peeled in his garage, and picked up some tools, and he's got all kinds of stuff in there. And,
He did have to.
He'll give me anything I want. If he has anything in it, he's got a nice looking truck. Really, I'll fix that up. I'll put tires on it and a battery on it, and you can just have it. You know, that's just the way he is. He looks after us like a kid. And I always asked him, I was like, you know, hey, you want to get up and go for a ride or something just to get out? And he's like, Willie, he said, I don't think there's very many days left. His knees will be swelled up like soccer balls. And that's just getting up and going to the doctor for the day. He gets back, it takes him 2 days to recover. And I always say, never get into a man's personal business, you know. I always ask him, it's like, what do I tell your fans out there? They're always asking about the Trapper. And he said, well, tell him I'm trying to work it out. And he said, by God willing, he said, I'll try to be out there. He's still a bossy man. He still barks a lot of orders. He tells us where we got to be, when we got to be there. And he told me one thing for sure the last time. He said, no matter what, don't give up. Keep out there and keep hunting, whether I can be there or not. He said, you have any questions, call. And so we come up with some ridiculous things, and just to ask him, you know. And of course, you know, he's a little grumpy when he don't feel good. And of course, we put Bill up there and put him under the bus right away because Bill's pretty tough to skin, you know. Just be like, Bill said that you know, we should be down through here tomorrow. He said, I didn't say that. Where'd Bill come up with that? And he's like, well, he said he's up there sleeping. We always said he's got a sleeping room in the garage. He fixed him up with a bed. He's got a little stove, a refrigerator, recliner, a little table, and Trapper will do anything for any of us. And Bill will move in. He'll be there for a week. He'll take his boat out. He'll be out there setting trout lines and stuff. And that's one of the great things about Bill. I wish he was here today. I talked to him a couple of weeks ago, and he wanted to be down here. I know he went down and did a hog hunt in the Carolinas. He was all souped up and excited about that story. He told me over and 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 over. And they wanted to know what could he do with this hog. He still had it in his vehicle wrapped on ice.
He's carried around like a prize.
And so I told him, I was like, I got a freezer out there. I said, all I got to do is just wipe it out and plug it in, and in just a few minutes, he'll be ready to freeze some meat. And I'm thinking I'm going to have at least hog meat. And he never did bring that hog around. He took that thing all the way back to, I think, Summersville, where he's originally from, out by Webster Springs. A lot of people always say, where's Bill from? And I was like, well, Bill's from many places. He's wherever his hat and his boots lay. He'll kick them big old boots off. You know, of course, he's got the tallest boots in the world. And he can't wear any other boots. I've seen him in a pair of shoes one time, and they wasn't his. He was looking for his boots during that time.
That's what you get.
Willie's a lot nicer about it than I am, because when people ask me where Bill's from, I tell them he's from his own place. Usually Grace.
Yeah. He said something about he was headed over to the Rocky Mountains. There was a place over there he wanted to go see, and he told me he'd meet me up in 2 or 3 weeks, and he'll come back with another story to tell me. God knows he's got plenty of them. And I know they have to be true because he brings back pieces and parts of it. And so hopefully he has a good time in the Rocky Mountains. And I told him that, you know, he's probably going to miss one of the greatest events down here in Louisville. And by all means, you know, he loves being down here with us. Every time we tell him we're going somewhere, even though we have to make it up, and we'll get him all psyched up for it, and then we'll try to change the story up, and then we'll send him in a totally different direction. And then when he shows up late, it's always like, what took you so long? Well, that's where I thought you got, you know, and he's always got some story to back it up, or the map wasn't right, or the lake didn't move. Yeah, he's the only one I know that can actually move the lake, you know. And but he's late, and I know why he's late. He talks a lot. He'll be down to every convenience store, talking and picking up coffee and donuts and carrying some story. And then them guys are like, don't you gotta be somewhere? And then he'll have this look like, and then he'll think for a little bit, and he's like, oh, they're waiting on me. So then he'll race out there, jump out, tell me about the road being bad, about the, you know, hard to get into, hard to find me. I thought you was over here. He's got a million stories for why he ain't there. A couple times I've been late myself, and I always tell him I just took a shortcut. Dave's like, well, why did it take you 9 hours on a 4-hour drive if you took a shortcut? And I was like, well, it was not much shorter, but it was a whole lot funner. I meet good people along the way too, and I like talking to everybody. I met a stranger one time, and about 10 minutes later, they wasn't a stranger either. I don't believe in snubbing anybody. Like Huckleberry said, if you ever see us change, fame will never do that. We are who we are, and we do what we do, and we meet everybody the same as we want to be met. And if you ever see us look like we're stuck up, just unhook us and let us back down to the ground because we're stuck. But we never want to shun anybody off. We never want to look like, you know, we ain't got time to talk. Even Huckleberry said, you got 5 minutes, Willie. And I was like, all right, be there in 4, 5, I'm right behind you. And but I always like to, you know, to tell the stories of the path and the trying what we got to do. Life has treated me great. Hanging out with this team is the funnest thing I've ever done in my life. And for no money or no fame, I'll never change that. And I'll continue doing it until the day they steer me around and put me in another direction. But right now, I'm going to let Jeff talk because he's sitting there looking at me. It's like, if he don't get back like I'm going to knock him off his chair. And he ain't getting no more materials from me. Everything that I needed, I could Google it, but I can't get that phone to work anymore because it ain't even my phone, for one. And, there we go.
Them Bama boys keep trying to get us in trouble.
Jeff has not only researched the preachers we chased, and I've said this many times, if I needed a set of door hinges to hold up a 1,250-pound door, he knows exactly where I need to go get them and who to talk to. And within minutes, he's like, go deliver. And I was like, man, this guy's better than UPS and Federal X. And it seemed like since we started, I rely upon Jeff for a lot of things. I ask him a lot of questions about, you know, the places we go, and he knows people all over. He's been in a business of, he calls it some big word, architectural. That's right, that word he said. And rot and rust, I can remember that. But ever since I started on the team, I've been a redneck guy. We tore the taillights off of Trapper John's trailer the first day we tried to make a trailer. And just to see how this show was going to go. And by the end of the day, I had new lights wired up and a whole new plug-in on it. And I was ready to load up, and they're like, dang, you are a MacGyver. And I was like, hey, this is what I've done my whole life. My dad was loved the junkyard, and he loved to fix things. And if it broke, and if he couldn't fix it, we jumped it because it wasn't worth fixing. My mother was a farmer, and she loved to raise kids, so there was a lot of us. And she never had a bad moment. She talked real soft, real easy, and she was never afraid to show me something. Even when the rabbits got out, and she showed me how to build my first box track to catch it. Well, that right there was a bad thing because I was always hyper. So I just started letting rabbits out. You know, it was like, oh yeah, this is fun all summer long. I'd let 2 or 3 rabbits out and then catch them, put them back in the cage. After a while, them rabbits would just run back up the cage and save the hassle. But trap building is something I love to do. I love building things. I like breaking things and I like fixing things. Most generally, I try to fix all the broken things there is. And a lot of the local neighbors that come down around, and I tell them, I said, you can learn anything you want to if you put your mind to it. Don't give up, don't show frustration, and have patience with everything you do. If you get aggravated and throw down and kick it and throw your tools over the hill because you couldn't fix it, that's a sad sign. Take patience, fix it, and if you can't fix it, don't quit trying.
He's pretty busy then, don't he?
Oh yeah. That's why they put him with me. Bill, first brand new hammer that I give him, he ended up breaking the head off of it in 2 claws. And then he looks at me and he's like, my goodness, this thing's across the water, isn't it? And I was like, Bill, that was brand new. And he was like, well, you got another one? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, where's it at? And I was like, you crazy? I ain't dare tell you where my hammer's at. So I always try to make sure I give him plenty of tools to work with. And he keeps them pretty much broken. And Bill found out no matter what the tool is, if we can't make it, they don't exist. If we break it, we can't fix it, we'll just use it for something else. It could be a trigger, it could be a part of the trap. Everything that we got out there, we get on hand. We get out there, and my brain never quits. On the time I start into an area, and I know that I'm not far from the site, I start looking for local neighbors to depend upon to get metal, wood, junkyard parts, anything that I can build this trap out of. I already know from talking to Jeff and them pretty much what the creature we're going in there to search out. And that stays in my head. And then all of a sudden he's like, well, we're going to need some pieces of pipe. And I said, I just seen some down the road. We'll go down there and talk to that old farmer or talk to an old backyard, hillbilly or something. And I'll tell him, I was like, hey, you just let me use it. And I'll build, a trap and stuff out. And when I bring it back, I'll turn it into anything you want to. I'll put it into a place to stack your firewood up. And I'll build you, a picnic table out of it. Anything that I can do to return it to make it better than when I borrowed it. And everything goes back to them. I try to make it as nice as I can. Sometimes it don't turn out that way. Sometimes just having Bill deliver it. That's pretty rough. Leroy's band will never be the same. That guy, I've never talked to him since. When we dropped it off, he was speechless. It's the first time I've ever seen one of Bill's family speechless.
Well, you literally dropped it off the back of the truck.
I told him when we borrowed it that there might be some bumps and bruises and a little bit of scratches. He said, oh, I ain't worried about that as long as I get it back. And I was like, well, you're definitely going to get it back. I said, I just wanted to warn you ahead of time. We're going to use it. And we don't know what happens, We're dragging it back in places that, are rough to get to. We might scratch it out. Oh, he don't care. The look on his face when we pulled up, that thing rolled off a rollback. It looks like it was in a tornado and a hurricane, just crashed. And he's standing there with his jaw dropped open and looking at it. And all I could say was, well, Bill, I hate to run, but I got an appointment and I got to be somewhere. Tell your Uncle Leroy, but thanks a lot. And I voted. I kind of left Bill there to soothe it over, and I think they're still on talking terms still today, but he definitely got that band back, and it's not the same shape anymore. But I'm going to turn this microphone over to Jeff and let you tell a little bit about what he does and the things that scares him in the middle of the night. And here you go, Jeff Rowe.
Hey, wake up. I got a story to tell you about. Thank you, Willie. Great. Hey, now does everybody remember the night that I had the thermal up and the woman in the woods come up and blew that fire right in my face the very first time? And I fell back. That affected me that night. And then I didn't know I was going to have to face off with her in the woods with the folklore that we had to fight it with. At that point in time, when I woke up in the woods in that Native American buckskins, and I had blood all over me, and I was just waking up when Buck and them found me, I didn't know what had happened. And then, the following year, I'm down in Hillsville, Virginia, doing an antique show. Hey, everything was fine. I didn't have any more flashbacks. I wasn't having anything else. I wasn't talking much or telling anybody what was going on. Next thing I knew, I packed up, I'm ready to leave, and I end up in Lee County out in the woods, and I have a video on my phone, but I have no idea who took it, who's saying, we don't go down in there. That's where the black wolf goes. You got to think about that, okay? Do I tell those guys? No, I keep that to myself. It's just a whole lot like the Cherokee Devil. We have to hold things in order to fight it because we're confused in our head what's going on. We've just crossed paths with folklore that's not supposed to be true, but I'm living it. These guys have lived the folklore. So the next time I'm having nosebleeds, I'm having out-of-the-head experiences. This woman in the woods really affected me. You guys see me sit around, I'm quiet sometimes. I don't say a lot because still seeing this red skull, seeing this happen, and it's really emotional. Then to have to turn against your crew, say, hey, I need by myself. They never let me do it, but if I make them mad and tell them how much I don't like them, they'll go right away. Trust me, that's easy to do with people. But it's hard to get them back. That's probably the hardest season I'd ever done, not realizing at what point in time did I get a skull in my nostril and how much that affected me. I went through some of the most traumatic situations in my life. In this hunting, we've been close to Bigfoot in the wood. It has actually brushed up against us. And take it for a fact, okay? It happens. You're that close. Okay. After the woman in the woods, I'm still skeptical about what's folklore and what's on the line and what's really hunting you, because it's hard to go to sleep at night knowing that you could wake up someplace else. I'm hoping that the skull being removed took care of the basis of what was going on, how she affected me. And I know everybody had that question for a long time, but it's down to the fact that I think I'm okay. That's probably why we've waited so long. We've all had to heal in the last couple of years, mentally, physically, with each other, bonding. I mean, this woman is not normal. And as you've seen, when I walk through the 3 rings of the north, each time I step through those rings, it got colder. And it was a sense of calm came over me. And I was hoping to the point that when I got to that end ring, she would show up and I could confront her and see what had to happen to get rid of her in my soul. But unfortunately, I had some of my buddies watching over my shoulder, and we're not sure that affected what was going on or not, because we do know Buck went back, and things were different, a lot different. But I want to touch a while ago, they were talking about this footprint that I found out in the woods. Let's get off this woman in the woods is driving me nuts. We found the largest footprint of about 22.5 inches in the woods on the Cherokee Devil. Ground moles were actually what it was after. It was ripping the ground up, eating the ground moles, and then covering it back up with leaves. So I, being the poorest tracker on the whole team, I'm going down through and I'm raking them back. And I'm going, well, something's just ripping the crap out of these. Bigfoot eats rats. It digs down in the ground and it eats rats. Could this be really, we're on this hot trail? Go off this way, go off that way. So I uncover these leaves, still looking for ground moles. There was the neatest footprint you ever saw. So we radioed across the hill, just like you said. The other 3 guys came in. Huckleberry looks. He finds a hair. Right? It's a 10 or 12 inch hair. Buck finds another small one. I'm down smelling the footprint. Me and Trapper just ecstatic. This is a premier footprint. That Bigfoot grabbed a hold of that tree, stabbed his left foot in, shoved on that tree, and then when you looked like he did and went onto that tree, you seen the simplest tree structure you could ever imagine. These 2 trees are crossed. They're standing up against a tree, and you're going, everything we've ever seen is so complex, but they're simple-minded. and they're individuals, these Bigfoots. Actually, he might have taken 2 hours there just to make that little tree structure to get those 2 trees over to satisfy what he wanted to do. But that was an explosive night. We're down there, and there's a piper cup. So we're moving forward on this hunt, and that piper cup is moving forward. So think about it. I think the Bigfoots are marked. And I think the government knows exactly where some of them are. Because they definitely could not put it on the no-hunt list if it didn't exist. So think about that for a while. All right, next question, guys.
I know you guys got a lot of questions out there. We just try to wrap up some of the things that scared us in the night, and some of the great times and some of the sad times. But any questions you guys got out there, we'll be glad to answer the ones we're allowed to. Some of the things that we held back and that we kept, for this next season, if it exists, yeah, it will, guarantee you. We can't leave America hanging. We done something that a lot of people, wish to do and tried to do. We had fun with it, and also we're so close, and the information that we got to bring out this next season that these guys have to know. So all we got to do now is have the network say they're the ones got to pop it up. We're not allowed to say it. They're the ones got to put it out there and say, hey, new season coming up, number 6, coming up this spring, going to be in April. That's the moment I'm waiting to hear. Gather up this information that we got and let us go back out there and hunt again. We've been out a lot of places, and we hunt every day. I go see, people say, oh, I'll go anywhere at any time and look at something, whether it's phony, fake, or whether it's true. Somebody tell me they've seen something, well, sure, I'm gonna go look at it. It's in my blood. It's in all of our blood. We can't stop ourselves even if we tried. Even during I deer hunt and I do trapping and fishing, I get in my canoe and I'll come down that Meadow Island Creek, and that's the #1 crossing of any critter that's going to go. We'll cross that water somewhere. And they can't hardly get across without leaving a foot track somewhere. So every time we're out and about, somebody's got a story to tell, we take time to listen to it. Because it might just add into our book somewhere, and it's going to pile up with the information that we keep. And I know there's a pile of it because I tried to read through it a couple times, and it's like, I don't even know what to do with this. I got some information, and so I just tell Jeff. I was like, here, Jeff, what do I? And he's like, I'll take care of it. He's very good about that. He keeps up on it somewhere in that head, man. He's got a lot of room up there, and he files that out, and he knows exactly where to put that. He knows what that information was, whether we're in Tucker County, or we're in Lincoln County, or we're heading back to Eastern Kentucky. No matter where we go or where we've been, Bill will be telling a story about a hog hunt down in Carolinas. Jeff's questioning him about when he come back up through Ashe County, Said, hey, did you swing by Ashe County and talk to such and such? And Bill will be looking at him like, what? That's why Jeff's a researcher. Some of us is good at what we do. Jeff's very good at researching. I'm pretty good at building and fixing broken things. Huckleberry is well known for Big Joe. And also, he's a very good security. He gets a little loud, but he don't back down from nothing. When he's got my back, I'm 100%. He's got my back. I don't have to worry about anything or anybody overstepping that boundary. He's a big man, and I know he's getting a little bit of age on him now, and I still wouldn't want to cross him. And I said that lightly. What was that again?
He's still a teenager.
Yes, he is. He's still a teenager. A handsome fellow, too.
Did you ever find out who the road team was?
Okay. I'm gonna let Buck take care of this one right here because
he's best friends with him. Think about that.
Buck will answer this one right here.
All right, Jeff, we'll play that game. Don't worry, I got the road team's Jeff. No, I'm kidding. The whole road team, you can see at the end of the last season. Obviously, that was left for everyone wondering what happened next. I can't answer what happened next. Y'all will have to wait for that. I will say you will not be disappointed. We was able to come to pretty good terms with what took place with the road team. I can't disclose it yet. However, it did. We did kind of get things squared away. So since then, like I tell everybody, whether there's cameras following us or not, we're still doing the same thing we did for a long time before the camera crew showed up. So we're still doing our own thing, but once they decide if they want to follow us again or not, we've got a lot of really cool stuff for you guys. A lot of really good stuff to show y'all. So, does anybody else have any questions? All right, right there.
When you go on a hunt, do you give Wild Bill wild ammunition?
Listen, actually, it's really cool because Bill one time forgot his shotgun in Willie's truck, and I noticed this, and I thought, okay, this is the best opportunity I'll ever have. Bill don't know it, but I had Willie weld that gun shut. What we did, we took a piece of brass and laid it in there, but it looked like it was loaded. Wheel drill. No, just joking.
But we do want to reference, we only give him a single shot gun.
He's like Barney Fife. He has to keep it to his left.
He's got one bullet, he's got to keep his top. Anybody else?
What were your guys' first thought when you found the map inside the cave? And Bigfoot's done that.
That was just phenomenal. I mean, it's almost, your mind almost goes blank because you're so overwhelmed with what's in front of you. You know what I mean? It was an absolute amazing find. Amazing find. We've had several people trying to get us to show us where that's at. People try to offer us money to take them there. It's not something we do, but it was definitely something that I'm very happy we found.
And just stumbled on it. You know, it was just a freak accident we even found it.
Have you found anything else like that? Because I know you're still out looking. Have you found anything else like that?
We found nothing like that. I mean, that was.
What was so satisfying about that was the fact that our theories of the traveling through the waterways was true. And the waterways were key to this because if you read the folklore, they didn't have interstates and roads. You know, you have to realize that was proof that that animal was so super intelligent that it was able to map that out because it would travel. When you look at the map, it had dead ends. And you're saying, oh, you know, the room wasn't big enough to do the map. Well, that's all the farther that Bigfoot had traveled. And you have to think about how long did it take it to make that map. And in that same area, there was a beech tree, wasn't Huckleberry, probably, what do you figure, 100, 150 years old?
Oh, yeah.
The tree grows from the top up. So in order to carve something on a tree, wherever you put it, it would mainly stay there the rest of the tree's life. So what was it, 20 feet, 25 feet up in the air was the markings of the Knights of the Golden Rule, where that Bigfoot was located, which was one of the, truthfully in my eyes, one of the very historical finds. They've been there before, the caves are there, and that Bigfoot didn't just make that map yesterday. And he'd been there for several years, 30, 40 years, and then fire and smoke and all that. So you have to think about, why did they mark that tree? Was there a golden treasure? Or was it the Bigfoot they were marking on the tree for you and any of us never to go down in there again? So you don't know how that laid in their bylaws with that meant.
Maybe you had a question.
The Stoner's Jäger.
You can see, you're getting into more of that road team thing, because, you know, you see with the road team that we was told, basically we given a set of guidelines, and basically you do this, you'll find out who killed the Stoner's Jäger. I can't disclose that yet. But, like I said, the road team, the Stoner's Jäger, all that, we will have answers for all that.
It was, as you remember, it was a trade. Women of the woods for the Stonish giant, and it's killed.
See, and I tried to trade Jeff, and they wouldn't have it. Yeah, I mean, it was trade Jeff, and like they wanted an extra car and all kinds.
See how they treat me, and I'm over here trying to figure out how to vaporize this woman in the woods and get her to free kill. So I can take it to this guy and get this off of my back, and look what they're doing.
Listen, that's one shot.
They still make you try them traps before they use them? Because y'all have.
Listen, some things don't go away. I would think at some point I'd be able to be like, hey, you gonna make that trap for me? They really, really like giving me a rough time, especially if they know it's something that's going to make me gag. Certain things, if someone's laying here bleeding, I'll be able to jump right in and help. I've done things like that all, for several years. But whenever certain smells hit me or things like that,
just little.
Bam, I'm puking. It's coming. Well, I'm a trapper too. Like, I trap coyotes, bobcats, and some of the scents and lures I use. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. One of my buddies traps with me. That's all I can do. I'm putting my trap bait in a dirt hole. Doing the best I can because I don't want to put any scent. Oh my gosh, this is awful.
See, you need to be smart like me. 50 shows and never made it a trap. 50 shows and only drove the side by side once because I didn't want to pay for reckoning.
I accept the
challenge. Yes, ma'am.
Do you think they migrate over the country?
Yes, absolutely. We have about 5 minutes left. We just got our call there. Yes, we absolutely do believe that individuals migrate. I do believe they have a home territory, which I think they'd be pretty well straight at. But they do a lot of migrating.
Trapper believes that they meet in certain places once a year to kind of share their mapping, their travel ways, their forage, what they would eat, and share what they have. We have an ongoing joke that Trapper said, well, I think they're down here after the pawpaws. And we said, no, we think they're down here after the apples. So we've decided they were down there trading 2 pawpaws for 1 apple.
It's Bigfoot trade days. If y'all don't know about Bigfoot trade days, I'm going to tell you.
And we're not trying to be a smart aleck about that, but they do show each other. We're in the one medicine circle and they had 4 different directions they went. No relation to a compass. Pretty close. It showed which way they went. And then you have to look at the pile of rocks. So every time one went that way, it took a rock from the direction it came and laid it in the direction it went. So
see, a lot of times we'll come to agreement on things. There's a lot of times where we find things like that and we never do come to agreement.
No,
we never do.
We've been in some heated discussions.
Yes, we have. We all have our own opinion.
Throwing ears of corn at each other.
Actually, Jeff Fly, the last bloody nose he had was actually on the way up here because he kept parking in the truck and it was all things stir up.
Yeah. My loss of time question is one they don't agree with me at all. We'll get a witness and we'll be going down that road and that guy's standing there and he's confused and I'll get, did you have a loss of time when this happened? Well, this can happen. Get the loss of time because of the pheromones that Bigfoot put off to you will confuse you and lose you in the woods.
I think there was some does have a question. Does anybody else have a question before we
Huh?
I don't have a question, but I can say that I do believe that the Bigfoots migrate because where I'm living right now, my uncle used to live there, and they were like you guys. They were out in the woods. They would hunt all the time, and he encountered something, and it smelled horrible, and there's a noise, and he never went back in the woods again. So I know for the trees up in the woods. So I know.
It was just a couple of days ago. There's a guy, me and Huckleberry lived a couple miles away, and I had no clue that this guy had been in contact with him, speaking with him about a few things. Well, he ended up getting a hold of me and told me that, he's got, I think 24 different trail cameras set up. He's got like 7 different eyewitnesses already at Bigfoot 18, just less than 10 minutes down the road from us. And He's been doing this for, I think, 5 years. He's been tracking this Bigfoot. And he said every fall, it disappears. He doesn't have any tracks, any sign. He hears nothing. He said every fall it disappears. In the summertime, it comes back and it'll stay up until fall again. Or in the springtime, it comes back and it'll stay back up until fall. So we really think that fall is a huge migration period. It's a huge migration time.
See, when I got into this, there wasn't a whole lot of books or nothing on this. And I listened to my elders, the older people. They talk about the Yahoo, people of the forest, woods, you know. They have different names for it. But it was all Bigfoot. And for the old people, to me, they're not going to lie to me. You know, they were raised hard. They were raised up during hard times. They was taught not to lie. A lot of people for years would not talk to us, even look at us. And after we started this show, people started opening up to us a little more. You can ask Jeff, you know, people actually now will sit and talk to us. A lot of elderly people will sit and talk to us because they know we're not going to make fun of them. We're not going to say, oh, that's going to do that. We'll listen to them because we tell a lot about how people look, how you act, your facial expression, you know. You can read people. And when a man that made 3 jumps in World War II don't come out of his house at nighttime because there's something there, you better take it to heart. All right? He told us, I can't tell you exactly what I encountered. He said, I can tell you what it looked like. I can tell you it was on 2 legs. I can tell you it moved damn fast. Why would the man lie?
Well, I think we're going to start wrapping up, guys. Let's have one last question. Well, we really appreciate everybody coming out and listening.
Hey, wait a minute.
Yes.
This guy right here has been here.
Whenever y'all waiting for the salt to swallow inside, whenever y'all start to hold it, did y'all ever find out the predator there?
Stay tuned.
Listen, there's still some that we dealt with. That we still, I mean, on several occasions, that we still don't know exactly what it is and where it came from. So, and it keeps us guessing too. We might be, you know, decent at this, but we ain't pros. We should do your best.
Think about it on the other side. There was 2 Bigfoot there. You're saying there's 3. I'm the one that researched it and said there was 1. So where do you think that put me? I'm supposed to be the guy.
I'm there's 3 Jeff like, dude, you screwed up, man.
Pretty big this time, Jeff.
We're in trouble.
You know, 1 would have been okay.
My eyesight is only as big as my thermal camera. Sometimes the battery is dead.
Sometimes it's plugged down.
That was good.
But we will have some more answers on the new season and everything. We'll get some answers on that as soon as we find out if y'all know something. It's looking. We have some positive things in the works. It's looking good. So just we'll be with you as soon as we can on that. We'll let everybody know social media and everything that way. Really appreciate y'all coming out.
God bless you all today.
Yeah,
thank everybody.
And y'all are wonderful.